have just covered the party section of our S Club 7 game. Now it is time to get into the adventure sides of this S Club 7 game, which is based on the TV series. So I have covered most episodes, but there might be one or two that I've missed just because when I was watching it and trying to gather bits of research, it just wasn't coming to me creatively. But most of the episodes I've managed to write something about them. I've got the resources from the IMDb synopsis of each episode, and I've just tried to find whatever clips that I can find online of the TV series. I've also got inspiration from them as well. So shall we take a deep dive into the second half of this game, which is the adventure section? Now for this, I will be referencing to my notes because there is a lot of notes, but we're going to talk about the 4 seasons that S Club 7 produced. So there was S Club 7 Miami, S Club Los Angeles, S Club Hollywood, and S Club Viva Barcelona. So I think there's around about 10 to 13 episodes per season, but I'm really excited to go through this. It would definitely be a whirlwind of an adventure, but let's dive in. Let's go. Season 1, episode 1, Takeoff. So this episode was made on Thursday, April the 8th, 1999. So musical group S Club 7 struggle to find any fame. The group manager, Danny Parsons, finds a way to get them out of England. From the things that I have seen, I believe that they are based in London. And I think it would be really cool to have a slight open world to this. So yes, you have your main missions, but if you do want to go off and do some little things, then you can do. So if you're in London, you should be able to go and travel around and see the main landscape. So if you guys want to go and see Big Ben, go and see Big Ben. If you want to go on the London Eye, go on the London Eye. Like, you know, you're a young band, you know, you're carefree and you just want to have a good time. But the main goal is to find Danny Parsons' office. It gets into like a little cutscene when you're having the conversation, and then you get straight on a plane. And what you guys have to do is to start a party on the plane. So it'd just be really funny if you could like go and find an air hostess and you can just go and buy a can of pop and drink it, and then you're like, wow, I'm buzzing, let's go and party. And then, you know, you're just like throwing crisps on the plane, or, you know, you're getting people out of their seats to sort of dance and party. Once you finish partying, now I've got this idea based of the Bratz game. I think it's called Girls Really Rock. But they go, oh no, I've missed the bus, so I've got to get the plane. And you do this like skydiving section, and you've got to collect the hoops as you fly from the sky to the ground. I think it'd be really funny if we got to do the same thing with S Club 7 and they got to make little shapes with clouds. The end of the episode and the main goal after that is to find the hotel. Season 1, episode 2, Howard's Hotel. The hotel is not as glamorous as the group's agent promised them. Instead of singing and performing, the gang have to work as hotel employees rather than full-time performers. When Howard does ask the group to sing, they are his choice of songs, and it's not from S Club 7's original set, and it's definitely not their music style. After being booed by the hotel crowd, they promptly get back at Howard by performing their own song, S Club Party. The aim of this level is to clean the hotel in a timely manner. So one section that you have to do is clean the swimming pool. Now the swimming pool is going to have loads of like green moss around the sides of the pool. You're going to have to get insects out of it by getting a net and scooping them out. And then you've got to make sure you gather all the leaves out. Like, this is going to be the worst swimming pool that you've ever seen in your life. Then you've got to set the tables in the restaurant. So you've got to make sure that you've got the cloths on, you've got the knives and forks, the salt and pepper is full. Make sure that you've got all the decorations like candles or flowers on the tables as well. You have to vacuum the hotel rooms. You've got to clean the windows, and you even have to paint the walls. I'll tell you what, I hope they're getting paid a lot for this. Then S Club 7 are absolutely raging. but you have no change to use the payphone. So you've got to go around Miami and collect a certain amount of coins to then use the payphone to ring your manager back in the UK. I've kind of got this idea from the Pop Idol games on the PS2. So if you perform really badly, so say if you press the buttons and they're not in time with the rhythm, then your character would sing really, really badly. But the aim of this section is that you want to sing as badly as possible, but you still have to hit the buttons in time. So this could be an interesting concept. So if you miss the buttons, you actually sing really well. And that's not what you want for this, because you really, really want to annoy the hotel manager. Season 1, Episode 3, The Blue Chevy. The group persuades Howard to pay them decent wages and sell them his spare car, which promptly breaks down. Joe and Bradley decide to secretly take parts from Howard's red Chevy and put them in their own car. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to find Howard's house. So on the screen, there's going to be a little mini map and there'll be a little marker on where to go. And then this is going to be the time limit. You're going to sneak inside the garage, right? And you have got to get the car parts in a time limit. And this could be quite difficult if you might need to get the right tool to get the right car parts out and things like that. And yeah, I can just imagine like you having to fix wires and getting your screwdriver and unscrewing bolts, but you've got to do it really, really quickly. Do not get caught by Howard, otherwise you will have to start the whole thing again. This is when the alligator situation starts coming in. You have to run away from Howard's alligator, and this is going to be like a Temple Run styled level. Just imagine S Club 7's music's playing and they're just trying to run away from an alligator. If you get caught by the alligator, that alligator takes the car parts off you and you've got to go back to the car, get them again, and then keep running from the alligator. And then you've got the challenge of actually trying to fit those car parts into your own car. So this bit is just going to be a huge section in itself. Season 1, Episode 4, Wind Resistance. With a hurricane en route, Howard leaves Paul in charge of the hotel and the Hawaiian party that he has planned for the guests. But Paul becomes extremely bossy and he orders the other S Club members around. As the storm gets stronger, they discover that Howard has been taking shelter in the hotel this whole time. There's going to be preparations for this party, and you're going to get to design sort of like the outfits that you get to wear. So the changing room is going to look similar to the one that's in the Pop Idol game, and you get to customize your outfit for the party. Then you have to prepare the room. So you want to make sure that this party room is like really, really clean and it's got everything that it needs. I do want to add a bit of a fun element to this where you get to design what decorations are going to be around the room. Are they going to have any fancy lights? Are there going to be any banners? Are you going to decorate the stage area? Are you going to choose the colour of the tablecloths? You know, things like that. But then there's like this whole pressure of making sure that the party is a success. So you might have mini games like serving and mixing cocktails. You've got to go around and serve the food in a timely manner and don't make people angry. And then once that whole party is done, you've then obviously got to clean the tables and make sure that that is all back to normal. Then you obviously get notified that Howard has been hiding in the basement, and it's basically going to be a bit like a hide and seek game, and you've got to try and find Howard in the right time limit. Otherwise, Howard's just never going to do work again in the hotel, is he? So I don't have anything for episode 5, but for episode 6, we have got the alligator episode. Howard finds himself on a date with a swimsuit model, and Rachel, Tina and Joe are set to give Howard a makeover. Whilst this is going on, the boys and Hannah decide that they are gonna let the alligator free. And by the way, the alligator is called Clint. Love that, love that. But then they have a disappointment that Clint the alligator comes back because apparently it's a domesticated alligator. As you do. Howard's date is a complete disaster. Apparently, Arlene has absolutely no fashion sense at all, and Howard just ends up taking it out on the S Club members. You can give Howard the makeover of your life. You can make him look as silly as possible. You know, you can do his hair. If you want to add like any face paint on him, then you can do that as well. So, like I said, there's going to be a little bit of a back and forth with this level. So, whilst you're giving him a makeover, so you're going to focus on like his hair and stuff first. Then, when it comes to the alligator section, you're first going to find the resources to help the alligator escape. You're going to need netting, you're going to get big metal tubes, you're also going to need a lorry because you need to put the alligator in there so you can drive off a little bit later. So once you have done Howard's face paint and hair, you're then going to take him to the shopping centre and you get to choose what Howard is going to wear for his date. And this just could be absolutely ridiculous. Like, you can get him in a mascot outfit if you want, or you could just design like the silliest shirts. Like in the Bratz games, you've got a section where you can design the t-shirts and maybe you can do the same. You can just get as creative as you want. Then you have got the task of actually getting the alligator out. So this could be like a couple of ways. So you could have it as like a maze game. So you've got to make sure that you're turning all the tubes and that in the correct way. And if you don't do it in the right time limit, then you're going to have to start again. Or you can get creative. So you can do it as like a sandbox mode where you get to decide where everything is. Another section that we've got, you get to go on the date with Howard and you get to choose the conversation. So if you want this date just to be absolutely crazy, then you get to decide how the conversation goes within the date. And your aim is to just make the date an absolute disaster. I think this is going to be a really, really good level for the video game. Season 1, Episode 7, Volleyball. They are given volleyball lessons by some locals who turn out to be the workers of Howard's cousin's Hank's hotel. Howard decides to set up a volleyball match between the two hotels, and he actually bets that S Club 7 would lose the match. And when S Club 7 find out, they are really, really mad and they will do everything in their power to win the match. There's going to be a section where you are being trained on how to play volleyball. So this will give you a little insight on how to do the mini game. And then basically the main thing of this level is just to win the volleyball game. Now, when it comes to the mini games, I want to kind of make it customizable for the player on the length and difficulty. So you've got very, very easy, medium, hard, extremely hard. And you can choose how many rounds you do. The minimum is like 3 rounds and the maximum may be like 10. It depends what kind of player you are. But I do want to give people the options to have that own time limit in terms of the mini games. There also could be a really funny bit where, say that you've won the match, you then have to create some sort of chant to be like, ha ha, Howard, in your face. So you get to choose like the choreography and maybe you could like choose what song they sing and things like that. But I think it would just be a really funny idea just to really get back at Howard and rub it in his face that we won the match. Season 1, Episode 8, Alien Hunter. I feel like this episode was probably one of the most iconic ones that people remember because, you know, they're on like a TV set and they've all got like really funny costumes. And when I was thinking back to the S Club 7 series, this was sort of the episode that I really remembered the most. But the band becomes the star of a fictional hit TV show, Alien Hunter. The hotel is used as a filming location. Tina is dressed as an alien and falls asleep in the back of a laundry truck and wakes up in a busy shopping mall on the other side of the city, where she meets a really handsome photographer. Meanwhile, Tina's dad suddenly turns up at Paradise Hotel and blames Howard for her mysterious disappearance. Meanwhile, Rachel and Hannah have a slight falling out over Rachel teasing Hannah about her role in the show. You can be the lorry driver who is driving Tina to the mall, and you could just have so many different obstacles that try and stop you from getting to the mall. Then there could be some sort of detective section where you're trying to find pieces of evidence of where you think Tina might have gone. So there might have like been bits of costume that have fallen off, or you have to ask people, when was the last time she did a bit of filming on set? So you've got to do a little bit of detective work. Then you play as Tina and you have to try and find your way out of the mall. I played a section recently on a game. It was the Mary-Kate and Ashley game. And there was a mini game where you had these sort of, I think they were fans, and you had these clothes and they were kind of firing at you, and you had to try and collect a certain amount of items in order to pass to the next level. But maybe this could be a way that you either avoid the clothes or you have to collect a certain amount of items to get out of the mall. Also, another option is that you want to find a way to make money. So you've got to do the perfect poses for this photographer, and you get enough money to basically get out of the mall and return back to set. Once you get out of the mall, you've then got to try and find a taxi. And then you play as the taxi driver. And just like in the lorry section, it's just going to be chaos, where the taxi ride is just complete and utter chaos. But you've got like a really cool bit in the game. When you're doing the taxi, you can choose what music you drive to. Season 1, Episode 9, Missing. Howard loses S Club in a card game to his cousin Hank, who runs the nearby hotel, Sunset Sands Hotel, which seems to resemble what their agent in England promised them. Now, Hank treats the band worse than Howard, and the band begins to realise that working for Howard is not as bad as they thought. With the group away from the hotel, Howard and Marvin's profits are down, and they are actually missing S Club 7. So they set up another card game to win them back. I kind of want this section to be a little bit more on the chill side. Obviously, you're going to have your mini games where you're at Hank's hotel, and again, you got that really annoying task of trying to clean their hotel. But after this, you don't have to go back to the other hotel straight away because you want to go around and see Miami a little bit. You can go and have some free time on the beach. You can go and swim in the sea. You can go and make sandcastles. You can go and play frisbee. Maybe you can go cycling around the beach. You can go and take some selfies. And then you've got to try and win the card game. But this could be like as simple as playing Snap. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you can choose which card game you want to play. So I understand in the series, I think they're playing poker, But just out of your choice, and I want you to have options for customizability in the game. If you want the game to be Snap, you can play Snap, or I think it's Go Fish, you can play that if you want to, or if you really like Solitaire, you can have the game of Solitaire. So you can choose whatever card game you want in this section. Season 1, Episode 10, Caught in the Act. Howard makes a sculpture of himself outside of S Club 7's dormitory, and he basically gets in trouble with Raylan Crowe. And he has to go to court. Now, the band persuade the judge to let them stay by performing, whilst Howard is fined $5,000. To raise the money, he tries to sell the statue, which crumbles around him. This is just a bit of chaos for this. I've not written a lot for this episode, but you basically get to perform in court. So you get to do a dance routine, and you can basically choose whatever dance routine you want to try and get Howard out of court. I think this is one of the favourite levels that I've got in season 1. So this is season 1, episode 11, the Bermuda Triangle. S Club 7, they're wanting a day off, so they borrow Howard's boat and they take a cruise back to the 1970s. Along the way, they meet Elvis, Madonna, and Cher before returning to 1999, where they discovered that Howard has changed. I've written so much for this level. Basically, first of all, you've got to drive to get to the boat. This is a bit of freedom. Like if you want to check the town, you can do, or again, if you want to like play on the beach, whatever you can, but make sure that the main mission is you've got to find the boat. Then you get to drive around in the boat for a bit. If you want to try and do like a couple of tricks on the boat and do some assaults, then you can do that. But then you get caught in the mist, and you then have the option to record your surroundings. So you find a camera on the boat, and just for fun, you get to basically take some pictures of your surroundings. You also get to do this when you're also traveling back in the 1970s. You go through this mist, you go back to the 1970s, and you've got to try and find the hotel. So you park up and you realize that the hotel is a little bit different. It's got that essence of the 70s. So as little Easter eggs, it's like a little option mission. You've got to try and find Elvis, Madonna and Cher. Another main part in this mission is to convince Catherine to fancy Howard so he isn't as horrible in the future. Play as Bradley, so you have to play as Bradley for this section, and you have to try and convince Catherine that she shouldn't fancy you. So you might have to have a multiple choice conversation to try and get Catherine to fancy Howard. Then, just for the fun of it, you get to perform as, you know, in the 1970s, and maybe when they perform, they could have like a swing or snazzy version of the S Club 7 songs. Once you've finished everything from the 1970s, you then got to drive back to the 1999 year, and you got to return to Howard, and you get to see if what you did really worked. Season 1, episode 12, How Deep Is Your Love? So the group is given a holiday when the Department of Health shuts down Howard's hotel. So they head up to Miami's Sea Aquarium to swim with dolphins. Rachel meets a photographer who reckons she would make a good model, and Paul falls for a scuba instructor, Janine. I think that's how you pronounce it. But the others are not so sure about this Janine, and they decide to see if she's dating other people, and it turns out she has also been trying to date Bradley. The main missions in this level is you get to swim with dolphins. You can spend some time like feeding them and really understanding how to care for these dolphins, and then you can take them out into the wild ocean and do some party tricks with them to the music of S Club 7. Then you get to sneak up on Janine. Now you've got to make sure that you don't get caught in this section, but you have to find out what she is up to. Now, what would make a nice reference is say that you kept the camcorder from the previous episode and you used it to take pictures that Janine is up to no good. And if you do get caught by Janine, then you have to start this whole thing again. But you get to show the evidence to Paul that Janine is not who she says she is. I just think that's just super, super spicy, and I'm here for it. Season 1, episode 13. So with their contract with Howard is about to end and their deal with their old manager now expired, the gang look back over the time that they have had in Miami. They have lunch with Jill Ward, who was apparently the star of Alien Hunter, who advises them to travel to Los Angeles to make a name for themselves. Howard has a realization that maybe he was a little too hard on S Club 7 and tries to apologize, and he tries to persuade them to stay. They obviously refuse because they feel like they're not going to be going anywhere on their S Club journey. And this is kind of like the chance that you're going to say goodbye to Howard, and I bet people playing the game might be thinking, thank God for that. So this is going to be your very last chance to explore Miami. So if there's anything that you've not explored yet or any activities that you would like to do, this is the opportunity to do it now. And whilst you're doing this, the main mission is to find Jill at the hotel. Is it Tides? I think it's Hotel Tides. Could be wrong on that. Basically, she then tells you, like, you need to go to Los Angeles and you need to really venture out and find out who you are as a band. Then you have to go back to your hotel and you need to make sure that you have every single item that you packed originally, and you need to make sure that you don't miss anything. You can also do some like final checks on the car, you know, to make sure that it's got enough petrol and things like that. But that can also be a chilled experience as well. You say bye-bye to Miami and you make your way to Los Angeles. Season 1, episode 14, back to the 50s. So the group begin their journey to Los Angeles from Miami. After accidentally coming across a time portal, they find a town in the 1950s which is being dominated by a gang. When you're traveling from Miami to Los Angeles, you can take that at leisure as long as you find the time portal. I feel like it'll be a really cool opportunity. I've not mentioned this yet, but maybe you collect certain tokens in the game can let you watch some of the clips from the TV series. Like in the Bratz games, you collect certain items to then watch, cinema clips from the films. And maybe we should do the same thing for the S Club 7 video game. You travel to the 1950s and you're basically going to end up in a 1950s disco. So you get to play games of bowling, you get to make your own milkshakes, you get to design your own 1950s outfit, and there could be like a free roam element where you explore the town and you can buy clothes from the 1950s and still take them with you throughout the game. Then you've got to have a dance off with this gang who are trying to like intimidate and bully everybody, and obviously you want to make sure that you win that. And then as you're driving about in the 1950s, they could have like a 50s version of all the songs. This is the final episode of season 1. So it's season 1, episode 15. It's called Boyfriends and Birthdays. S Club take a rest stop at a trailer park near Paradise Beach in Small Town, where they meet a family who live in an RV. They discover that the father may or may not arrive at his son's birthday party. So S Club are trying to make sure that this lad has the best party ever. During this, Rachel receives a call from her boyfriend back home who asks her to choose him or the group. You want to make sure that this birthday party is really, really special. You get to rehearse to do a performance, like a birthday performance for this lad's party. You get to design the birthday cake, like you get to put all the icing on, you get to choose what flavour the birthday cake is, how many candles are on it, all that sort of stuff. You also get to decide where the decorations are being placed. And in order to do this, you also need to find items in the RV van. For example, party poppers, candles, tablecloths, and banners. And then once you have got everything ready, you then get to perform at this birthday party and everybody just has a great time. And that is the end of season 1, S Club Miami. I wonder how long this section is. I bet this first episode bit is about 15 minutes in total, but I'll see when I edit it all. But next, we have got season 2, Los Angeles. Just before we get started on season 2, if you are enjoying this video, make sure you give us a subscribe on YouTube, as I am planning to do more videos like this. And make sure you give us a like, give us a share. And if you think about any media that you think should have been turned into a video game, let me know in the comments below.